naturally, as we started the continued learning, that we started using, like Mel said, registered funds. Promissory notes was always there for repairs and flips and closing costs and down payments. But the cool thing is like Mel mentioned, it, and something I want to go back on too is your team is everything, like you had mentioned, Michael. And if people are telling you it can't be done here, don't listen to them, right? If they're saying it doesn't work in this city, it doesn't work in this state, it doesn't work in this country, that was something that was huge. Yes, the OPM was, but also surrounding ourselves with people that understood it and had done it before, and we're also doing it.
So welcome back, and thank you to all of our amazing listeners for tuning in to another episode of Keeping It Real Estate. Today, we are joined with Mel and Dave, and Mel and Dave have a combined 23 years of experience in commercial real estate investing. Super excited to talk more about that. They've acquired over 240 apartments, ton of apartments, helped over 1,700 other investors, and then they've written a couple of incredible books. We're going to talk more about that as we go through this show. So with that, Mel and Dave, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having us, Michael. It's great to be here.
Yeah, you bet. I'm excited for today's show. And I would love for both of you to start off and just share a little bit about your background, what you were doing before you got into real estate, and what led you to real estate investing.
So I used to work at our local college in program development. I was teaching part-time classes at the college and part-time fitness instructing as well. So I was very busy, but I knew that if I wanted to create more wealth for myself, that one way of doing it was with real estate. So I had two properties when I met Dave. Dave had the one dwelling, and I'll let you kind of share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I had the one property when I met Mel that I was occupying, right? Single family home, which we still own. I think we've refinanced it now like 4 times. It's that train that keeps on giving or whatever, it keeps on going. No, when I met Mel, I was a firefighter. I always wanted to get into real estate. Just had a lot of fear and didn't know exactly what to do. And tenants and toilets was the stuff that we were hearing, and kind of kept me in that paralysis analysis stage. But yeah, we got through it, and it's kind of our start.
Got it. That's amazing. So you said you refinanced one of your single family homes multiple times, which I love that strategy. Is that typically your strategy across the board in real estate these days, or do you do some flipping, or what type of real estate investing do you typically do?
Yeah, all of the above, let's be honest. So sometimes, yes, we'll refinance more than once as they come to fruition, because often that's the case. And especially if we get into the larger multifamily properties, it continues to increase in value over time, of course. So we do a lot of refinance over and over again throughout the years. Sometimes we will sell them as well and take the money from that asset and put it elsewhere, kind of like the monopoly game as well, or different locations to really diversify our portfolio. We have done some flips as well, where the intention was to flip them quickly. But overall, we buy and hold many of our properties.
Got it. And let's dive into that a little bit more, your strategy and approach. So, when you're identifying a property, do you focus on one asset class? Do you focus on one region of the country, or, a specific state? Or how do you go about finding your properties?
We love finding a lot of deals. So no, we don't only look at one specific size or one specific location. Some years we'll buy, we'll buy some condos, and we'll buy some larger multifamily and some single dwellings. We're now buying in 5 different countries as well. So it really is about the ratios, the performance of the property. We love investing where returns are best as well. So it's a combination. So no, it's not only has to be 12plex and up or 30plex and up. It just really depends on the performance of the deal as well.
Got it. That's amazing. So 5 different countries. I'm assuming probably a lot of different cities and states. Are there specific criteria that you stick to regardless of what country that you're investing in?
We always look at, obviously, the time versus effort versus return. In the US, it's Texas and Florida. Texas is multifamily, Northern Texas. Florida, we're doing multifamily. We did a short-term rental condo in Orlando area. Obviously, everyone knows why, for Disney reasons. Canada, same thing, mostly multifamily. So our portfolio, mostly multifamily, but then with Costa Rica, Mexico, Dominican, we're looking for more again of that short-term rental. So the criteria changes a little bit there, but we're mostly looking for places that are value add opportunities. And have we done gut jobs? Yes, right. Just like you see on TV, sledgehammers everywhere, reposition the kitchen, add a bedroom, have we done those? Absolutely. But the ones that we love is those low hanging fruit of get in, do some cosmetics, maybe some flooring, maybe a countertop, some paint, maybe a vanity, less is more type thing, and have that value add, maybe increase the rents by typically $100 to $150 per unit easily. So we're looking for that type of stuff in our multifamily, and also in the flip property, something that we can really add value and more value add, I guess, if you want to put it like that.
Got it. And I know, in multifamily, the amount of deals in the pipeline has dropped off substantially over the last year. I think overall, inventory is down about 80% or so. Is that what you're seeing on the single family side as well when you're going to flip single family projects and, buy and hold single family projects?
Yeah, I love that. And I agree with you, inventory and yeah. And the single family, just to be honest with you, it's not our go-to. Again, in Canada and US, it's not our go-to. That being said, actually, we're closing a single family in Ohio in a couple of weeks. I probably shouldn't say that, but that's a whole other, it was bandwidth wise, and it was one of those done for you properties, and it's easy on our bandwidth and our team's bandwidth. But when we are looking aggressively for properties, the only time we'll mostly do single family is in, like, for example, Costa Rica. They're called casas there, right? Casa, but that we'll be looking at which one is going to have, the amenities to provide people for that higher short-term rental. But yeah, we're not actively hunting down single family deals. But that being said, if we're looking at it and it has a good enough return, and, that time versus effort versus money is there, then we'll take them down. But it's not our go-to, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Got it. That makes sense. And I'd love to dive a little bit more into, Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica. I think it's great that you guys are diversifying amongst, different countries, especially with what's happening, right now in the US and with our currency and whatnot. How did you become comfortable enough to go into other countries? Because you live in Canada right now. I'm sure you know that backwards and forwards, as far as the landlord laws, is it business friendly? How's the population growth? But how did you build the knowledge base to be able to go into other countries and be comfortable with that move?
Yeah, and I can think of two things. Number one was pushing through fear, because mindset is definitely a huge part of it. And then having a great team as well, having those connections in different areas as well. So number one was realizing that if I'm not the first person who's an international or global investor, there's others out there. So if they can do it, I'm sure I can do it with the right people in place and the right resources. So reaching out to some of the colleagues that we've built throughout the years to ask for advice and feedback and connections and introductions. We're really relying on the experts as well when it comes to cross-border attorneys, for example, to make sure we're not paying double taxation and those kind of things as well. So having a really solid team, and then of course realizing that if there's an issue, we'll get through it. So having that mindset as well.
I love that. And I think team is everything. If you have solid team members on your team and you can rely on them and you have that trust, it makes it that much easier to jump into a different asset class or a different country. So, great job there. And like you said, pushing through fear, I think that holds a lot of people back, whether it be, getting into their first real estate investment or diving into a different market or taking a leap from their current job. So great work pushing through that as well. You guys expanded pretty rapidly. I think I read that you acquired 12 multifamily properties in a 12-month span, which is absolutely incredible. And, for those looking to scale their real estate portfolios out there, do you have any strategies, that have been crucial for your, rapid expansion over the years?
Yes, OPM, other people's money, creative financing, call it what you want. But yeah, definitely stop using your own money to get there was a game changer. So we knew we wanted to grow our portfolio. We were working, like I mentioned, 3 jobs, and Dave was working multiple jobs as well, trying to save for that next down payment. But coming up with 25 or even sometimes more % down is a lot of money, and it's going to take a lot of hours, typically working 9 to 5 to be able to come up with that deposit every year. So as soon as we started leveraging other people's money, and the way we do it, we also do it without joint venture partners. So that way we solely own all our properties. And the method we use is a combination of owner financing or vendor takebacks, promissory notes, or secured funds like 401k, for example.
Got it. And did those different strategies come into play over time, or were you able to partner with someone that had the knowledge base behind those?
I think our first go-to was seller financing,
Okay.
owner financing, seller financing, carrybacks, that type. And then naturally, as we started the continued learning, then we started using, like Mel said, registered funds. Promissory notes was always there for repairs and flips and closing costs and down payments. But the cool thing is like Mel mentioned, and something I want to go back on too is your team is everything, like you had mentioned, Michael. And if people are telling you it can't be done here, don't listen to them, right? If they're saying it doesn't work in this city, it doesn't work in this state, it doesn't work in this country. That was something that was huge. Yes, the OPM was, but also surrounding ourselves with people that understood it and had done it before, and we're also doing it. So that's huge.
Well, we had heard about creative financing, and at first we thought, is this even legal, right? When you don't understand how that, I'm not going to jail. When you don't understand how it works and why would people want to do it, then you just go, okay, I'm just not going to do it because it's safer that way. But after a while, it's like, okay, well, is it safer when I want to spend more time with my kids and I want to achieve my goals and all those kind of things, and then getting a better understanding on how to do it and building those strategies around it. Where, for example, we're big on the exit strategy. If we're going to borrow somebody's money, we need to know how we're going to pay them back before we enter the deal, of course, and should always be that way. So, okay, well, how are we going to do that? Well, it needs to be numerical. How are we going to do that? With a matrix. And that's where we kind of reverse engineer going back and started off with creating our matrix, for example. So it's all these steps that helped us along the way. But yeah, if you're looking to scale faster, of course, creative financing is going to be the way to get there way faster.
I love it. So circling back to the 12 properties in 12 months, that's really, really impressive. Can you share some of the highs and lows through that intense year? Because I'm sure that was a lot when you were doing it.
Intense year? Yeah. Like it didn't magically happen.
No, and something like people always ask us, did you guys plan it? And we did not plan it. And we kind of realized it. Mel and I, every New Year's or whatever we call it, New Year's Eve or countdown, we'll sit in the hot tub and have a kind of a recap of, okay, what happened this year? What happened, right?
February,
we go through it, and that's when we kind of realized we didn't plan it this way, but we did 12 properties in 12 months. So people that think, hey, did you plan it out that way? No, we were just trying to amass as many good properties as possible with an exit strategy. But the highs and lows, when you start having a lot of new buildings, a lot of new tenants all at once, because when you take on a new asset, right, the tenants will typically start saying, hey, I've been asking for this for X amount of days, weeks, months. You'll have an influx of maintenance. You'll have an influx of requests. Also, are all of the systems that we had, because I believe we had 18 or so units or 20 units or so initially, and then we added 56 to the mix. So we more than doubled. So every system that we had broke.
And we're still working full time and
we're
3
still,
kids at home.
So it was just an influx of, hey, we're now self-managing 76 units. All our systems broke. We got to revamp everything and kind of do it on the fly. And so there's a lot of highs and lows, but I love that we went through it because we had no choice but to keep going and learn, right? So it was a very huge learning opportunity, huge learning year, growth year.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely highs and lows there.
Part of it was definitely sacrificing time. And one thing we did not want to sacrifice was, of course, time with our kids and being there for them. So when we build this portfolio, we would get up really early in the morning just because we happen to be morning people. We're not night owls. So we would get up really early before the kids would get up, and really, that's when we'd crunch our numbers or figure out strategies, and then of course, with a quick growth, after a while, it became to the point where, okay, this is not fun anymore, and I'm kind of bottlenecked. I can't buy another 12 properties in 12 months next year 12 in 12 next year because it's just too much. So then it's like, okay, what are we going to do? What do I need? We became really good at systems and systematic just everything is systems, of course, having strategies in place and systems in place. And then because we were starting to make more money and could actually afford it now, having a team as well. And that's when we were able to start really building a team. And that gave us the time back so we can service the clients and also focus on that continuous growth as well.
Got it. That's amazing. And that was back in 2017. You added the 56 units, 12 apartment complexes, started to really systematize everything, get the team behind you. When did you decide that it was time to call it quits on your firefighting job, Dave, and then also your college position that you had, Mel?
I knew that I always in the back of my mind wanted to leave. But I thought, I'll just probably fear, right? That fear of letting go and the pension, the benefits and 3 kids. So I'm like, I'll keep buying some more properties and it's going to be 2-3 years down the road. And then in 2018, we were actually on our way to a real estate conference. We were passengers in the back seat and we got in a horrific car crash. It was a careless transport driver that hit a vehicle that hit us, and we rolled across the highway 4 times. We landed upside down, and we almost died. And it was a day that changed everything for us. It sounds a little cliche, but it's true. I mean, we almost died. I remember thinking, I'm never going to see my kids again. And afterwards, kind of fast forward, couple weeks, couple months in, I'm at home not working because I had a really bad concussion. And the reality of going back to work, my anxiety was just increasing. And I just knew that that's just not what I want to do anymore. And I just felt, a lot of anxiety about having to go back to work. And Dave said, just don't go back to work. And thank goodness for real estate, because in that moment, although I didn't realize it was going to come at that time, I had the freedom to decide that, I'm not going to go back. So that's when I officially quit. My job was after the accident. And then Dave worked, shortly afterwards. Yeah.
Got it. Wow. Well, that's very intense. I'm so glad that the 2 of you are okay today, and
Thank you.
that you're okay from that accident. And happy to hear that you built up your passive income over time, so you had that ability to step away from that position, Mel. And I think you wrote Real Estate Investing Secrets shortly after that, kind of after that life-changing accident. Is that correct?
It was that weekend we decided to do it. And again, we had no intentions, Michael, to write a book. I'm sure Dave's old teachers would probably laugh, like there's no way Dave Dupuis is going to become a best-selling author here. But yeah, it was that weekend we decided to, despite being extremely sore, we still went to the conference. And that's when we decided, why are we not helping other people do this as well? Like if we would have died, even my kids had no clue how to do this because it's not documented. We had the scarcity mindset. And that weekend, that car crash, again, I said it changed our lives in many ways. That was another way as well. Now we're on a mission to help as many investors change their lives as well. Because again, there's nothing special about Dave and I. We're regular couple with a big goal. And that's when we decided to write the book that weekend.
Well, that's fantastic. So anyone listening, check it out, Real Estate Investing Secrets. And I would love for the 2 of you to share, some of the secrets in that book. What are some of the top takeaways?
I was going to say that we had a whole chapter on cash cows, and kind of getting back to that income producing assets and possibly investing where returns are best. Because I'll get a lot of questions on that. People say, well, I'm living in a very hot market. It's very competitive. The purchase prices are, at all-time highs. The cap rates are at all-time lows. And what we'll tell people is, okay, we were able to leave our jobs. It's not rocket science. You just need to reverse engineer. We needed to find cash cow buildings. We needed to find buildings that have, if you don't know what that means, high cash flow buildings. And tertiary, secondary markets, typically, I'm not saying always, but typically will be the ones where you're able to really cash flow higher because the higher cap rates and the lower purchase prices. So we have a whole chapter on that.
We talk about property management. We talk about creative financing, how that was a game changer and the method that we use. So it's not a big book. It's just a little book. There's only about quick 4-hour book. So it's just a basic. It was really just a foundation of at least what I kind of wish I knew before my 12 and 12 to really get started type of thing.
Got it. That's amazing. Well, I'm excited to check it out. And, sometimes those smaller books are even better. It's all the action is packed into a small amount of pages.
Yeah.
So I love that. And, you guys give back quite a bit as well. Tell us about the inception of Action Family Mentorship Program. I know that's something you guys put together. You've helped, a ton of people. What does that look like?
So the inception was shortly after the car crash. So, on our way to Niagara Falls, accident. That weekend, we decided writing a book. I think it was released late 2018. And that's when we decided to go on social media as well. That was all Mel's. That's thanks to Mel. I thought when she told me we're going to do a website, I'm like, how's a website going to help us in real estate? But anyway, so we started getting people reaching out to us. So we actually, early 2019, we created 2 beta programs. So we did beta 1 and then beta 2, and we're like, okay. So we started creating systems in place. And that's pretty much when the Action Family was born. It was early
It
2019.
didn't really even have a name, to be quite honest with you. It was just, it's our mentoring program. And then we, what we found is how it was the community that was built and collaboratively with all our amazing students, and people are helping people. Some people post deals, some people lend money to other people, and the action and the results that they're getting. And then it just came to us that, the perfect name for it is the Action Family, because that's the feel and the results that they're getting as well is truly amazing. So yeah, so now we have over 1,800 students buying in Canada and the US and different countries like we're doing as well. I love it. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than getting emails often in the morning or posting
I
deals.
don't know if you saw that today. Just this morning, what's his last name, but Jim was saying that in his city, the mill shut down, and that he was so happy that he had real estate and he was able to walk away from that golden handcuff job, because if he was still at the mill, right, he would now be, yeah, I know. You didn't see that yet. I know.
That's incredible.
So because of real estate, right? I get
Get
goosebumps.
Just which gym it is.
I'll tell you after. But yeah, like that's the kind of thing, right? Is those results where it's like this person would have been completely out of luck, right? If they didn't have that real estate. So giving back, it's a whole other bucket that we're able to fill and fulfill in our lives. So it's super powerful stuff.
You're gonna make me cry on camera here, but that's the thing. It's like, and again, all these people, they're regular people who just had dreams, had goals, and followed a system that works, and are able to get results, which is so cool.
That's amazing. Well, congrats on doing that. I was just going to ask if you had any standout success stories, and there you go. Someone had a position, they got let go, or the mill shut down, and they're able to step away. I mean, that's a huge achievement. That's amazing that you're able to help them out with that. And you guys have won, quite a few awards, I believe. Small Business of the Year Award, 2020 Canadian Business Award. You had a few other awards. Are there any that are near and dear to your hearts or that mean a lot to you guys?
The Business Year Award for me was a big one, because it was going against some really huge players, not just in the real estate world, but also in theater and movies, and it was just like against all that. And I'll always remember being so proud that we were even chosen for this. And our family came to encourage us, but not thinking that we were gonna win. And then once they announced our names, it was just the most amazing, feeling of gratitude. And so that one was probably the biggest one for me.
That's amazing. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Well, congratulations on that. And, I'm sure along the way, you've had these success stories, you've won the awards, but I'm sure there's been setbacks along the way as well. How do the two of you handle setbacks and, keep your momentum going? Because real estate's up and down. There's always something going on, with the portfolio or the market. So if you could share a little bit there, that'd be great.
Yeah. And I love that you say that, because it's true, right? People will now see us on social media and, oh, Mel and Dave, and you're so successful. And yeah, but it wasn't always rosy. And sometimes it was to the earlier days where I remember crying, calling Dave at work, saying that I went in our apartment and it's a complete mess and I'm scrubbing. And, so we've had those moments where, with basic, from a tenant, for example, that happened. Our business structure was completely wrong when we grew very, very quickly, the 12 and 12, not knowing what we didn't know, not working with the right investor focused professionals. Right. So that cost us hundreds of thousands because we had to switch it all back. So there's definitely been a lot of roadblocks. I don't know if you want to share a couple of other ones, but it's just that happened throughout. And I think to answer your question, like how do we get through it is probably mindset. It's been the biggest thing that, if again, I'm not the first person to walk in a room where a tenant destroyed a unit, for example, or left it a mess, and those different roadblocks, just knowing that, okay, no matter what, we have two choices. We can quit, or we can find a solution. And we've always been very solution driven. And if we don't know the answer, then, we reach out. We still have 4 coaches. We're big on investing ourselves in our own future as well. So reaching out to one of our coaches if I'm stuck about something, or what should I do about in this situation? So just really relying on other people who are further ahead than we are. And as well, just collaboratively between David and I, continuing to focus on our positive mindset and solution driven.
That's amazing. Well, I love the coaching. You guys have 4 coaches. We have multiple coaches as well. I think that's important in any venture in life. If you can hire a coach or a mentor or someone that has significant experience, that's going to allow you to get through those setbacks. So, way to go there. And then you said investing in yourself. I love that. I think that's one of the most important pieces of life, is just investing back into your education, your knowledge, your mindset. Is there anything that you guys like to invest in yourselves? So any seminars that you like to go to, people that you invest with to get knowledge back?
So out of the 4 coaches, we both have Tony Robbins coaches. Mindset again is just huge, right? And it just comes into play again. It's not real estate, but it's just complete mindset, like you mentioned earlier. Every time there's an issue, right? 3 things that he says is, A, don't make it a catastrophe. B, see it for what it is. And C, how can you make this an opportunity and grow for it, right? So every time something happens, all right, don't make it a catastrophe. Mm-hmm. See it for what it is. And how do we learn from this and make it an opportunity? So when you go with that mindset, anything that comes at you can just become an opportunity, right? So it's been a huge one.
Yeah, it's not per se real estate, but it's how to solve problems. It's how to build a team. I mean, there's just so many different rules of business that we can apply to not only this. We have multiple businesses, but our different businesses, whether it's real estate or mentoring or those kind of things, to continue to make sure that we're always, growing essentially.
I love that. And I love the aspect that you shared where you said, don't freak out when an issue comes or arises. And I think you learn that through experience and, like you said, through getting mentors and coaches. But I think back to when I started investing in real estate and, maybe we had a big roof leak, or there was a fire, or, something happened when we were trying to put together a deal. And it felt like the end of the world at the time. And once you get a little bit of experience and you get some mentorship, you realize, problems are going to continue to arise throughout life. You just have to take a step back, figure out how you can solve that problem. And then, like you said, Dave, learn from your mistake and try not to allow it to happen again. So great information there. I would love to shift gears a little bit. I heard that you guys bought a lake house, which we love the lakes here in Minnesota, spend a ton of time out on them. It's just an incredible atmosphere. And I believe you used OPM, so other people's money, to purchase that lake house. I'd love to hear that story.
So, yeah, I agree with you. Initially, what's funny is we were actually going to be doing short-term rental with it. And this is the thing about pivoting. So we were going to rent it out, not live in it, but use it half the time, rent it out half the time. But then checking municipal bylaws and all that, we found out that you can only do it for like 3 months continuous. So it was the winter time, which we want to use it. And there was either the summertime when we want to use it. So we pivoted. So lesson here, definitely look into your bylaws to see what your usage is and all that before you buy properties. But this one was a very cool one. We used a mortgage broker who had private funds or private lenders who were open to doing a first mortgage, and that also were open to having second mortgages behind them, which was key. So we got a first mortgage through a mortgage broker, which was a private lender. I think was a land developer. I forget now. He was a builder, a land developer, something like that. The second mortgage was actually someone that we had found. It was her registered funds. So the key here was that the first mortgage holder or position was okay with having a second mortgage behind them. And then the second mortgage holder with the registered funds was okay going up to 100% loan to value, which again, not everyone will be okay with. So 100% financed acquisition. And then it became the typical BRRRR, right? Except for the rent parks. We didn't rent it out, but typical renovation because this was like pink carpets. It was
it was like beautiful, perfect location.
Water-
Bought it,
yeah.
waterfront.
We bought it from the outside.
We bought it from we didn't even walk in. We're like, yeah, this is the one. After looking at quite a few, we knew right away the inside we knew could beautify. So I remember at first right away, we just kind of, we had it and then would go on weekends and whatnot. And then we decided, okay, well, let's do some renovations. So we used a promissory note for the renovations, completely redid every single room, like everything. It looks completely different now. It's beautiful. And so now, of course, it increased in value, refinance the property, pay out the private lenders. And now we have this beautiful lake house that we can use. We actually live there pretty much all summer. It's nice and close to our house as well and work. So we can just sit there in 20 minutes. But that's the neat thing about it, is that you're able to not only do it to buy multifamily properties, but you can apply the same kind of strategies to do other things as well, as long as you have that exit strategy. I knew exactly how I was going to pay them back because I bought an underperforming cottage and turned it into this beautiful lake house.
That's amazing. Well, so excited for both of you. And, I
Thank you.
believe that you have three kids and a dog, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
Yep. And so, I know both of you emphasize family, very, very important to you. How do the two of you strike a balance between, your bustling real estate careers and quality family time?
It's mostly dividing and conquering. In the beginning, we tried to do everything. We still do everything together, but it was every call we went on together, every opportunity, or analyzing every single deal together. And as we grew, we realized, okay, we need to divide and conquer. What's my lane? What's your lane? I love talking to the lawyers and the accountants, and I kind of geek out on all that and knowing how it works in different so. And so I would attend those, and Mel would do the helping the team out and doing marketing and private lending and all that. So it was just literally dividing and conquering and respecting our lanes, but then still checking in. Hey, what do you think about this? Here's the keynote or the lowdown, and be cool if we proceed. And we still make the decisions together, but.
And of course, we worked extra hard at the beginning until we're able to leave our jobs, right? Like I said, what the year we bought 12 and 12, we weren't watching any movies except for our kids, right? We'd watch them with the kids and then we'd go to bed because we wanted to get up early. So it was sacrificing as well at the beginning to really focus on the growth. But then once we were able to quit our full-time job, well, now we have so much more flexibility. We're able to run here, run there, because we can work from anywhere, right? We love to travel. We travel a lot, and we're able to do that because everything can literally be done from our laptop. So that definitely helps as well with having that extra time that we wanted with the kids. And, one of my goals was seeing my little guy get on and off the school bus. Well, I can do that every day because I don't have a boss saying, no, you're supposed to be in the office for another 2 hours here. Yeah.
That is incredible. I've been taking my daughter or daughters, depends on the day, to school as well. And that's not something I would have never been able to do when I had my corporate career. So, that's just incredible. And I love how you sacrificed in the beginning. You woke up super early and you put in some hours before your workday started. I can definitely relate to that. I did it in the evening, so kind of the exact opposite end of the
right. Whatever works.
Yep. Sometimes you need to do that. So, well, that's great. Mel and Dave, for our listeners out there that are just getting started, or maybe they're feeling stuck, on their real estate journey, is there any advice that you could give to them?
Honestly, I would say try not to overthink it. All these other people can do it in the world. So can you. You just need the proper knowledge and you need to take action. That's essentially what it comes down to. You need to know how to do it properly, because if you're going to have a lot of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, and of course, many people have millions in real estate, you want to make sure you're doing it properly. And then you have to take that action piece. I mean, you can read every book in the world. You can listen to all these great podcasts like yours, and that's great. But at some point, you won't have an asset until you take that action. So it's really a combination of getting the knowledge to avoid costly mistakes, and also you deciding that your goals are important enough to you that you do take that action.
And in regards to gaining the knowledge, do the two of you have any favorite books or podcasts that you could recommend to our listeners?
For me, which one? Oh gosh, I have so many. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki is a pretty traditional one. Of course, it just changes your mindset about money. So that was a game changer for us. That's the year before we bought 12 and 12, because we realized that we used to think we had to work all the time. Then we realized that one. So that's one of mine. And the other one would also be for me, 10X by Grant Cardone, just thinking bigger, allowing yourself to know that you're capable of, when everybody was telling me, well, Mel, why do you want to do this? And why do you want to buy all these properties? And, having that playing in my ears when I was running just definitely helped me to allow myself to think bigger and take that big action.
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate that. And Mel and Dave, thank you so much for coming on the show today. If anyone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, well, we're all over social media. Our handle is Investor Mel Dave. That's how we're better known on social media. So Investor Mel Dave, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, on Facebook. If I know you mentioned our book earlier, I don't always do this, but if any listeners on your show, send us a DM on social media. Let us know that you were listening to this podcast, and we'll give you the free ebook as well.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thanks
You're
to
welcome.
everyone for tuning in to another episode of Keeping It Real Estate. Please do us a huge favor and leave us a rating and review, as it helps us to continue to bring on great guests like Dave and Mel and provide great content. And thanks again. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week on another episode of Keeping It Real Estate.